Welcome to another episode of Success with Saneness. My guest today is a local Houstonian who has been really representing Black female entrepreneurs in the beauty space all around the globe. So happy to be able to have a chance to speak with her today. And listen, you're going to get some nuggets, some amazing nuggets from this conversation, even if you're not in the beauty industry, because I am not, but I still pull some powerful strategies from what the one and only Miss Kim Roxy was talking about. Be sure and check out this episode. Hey, Maven Nation. Welcome to another episode of Success with Saneness, your bi-weekly dose of solution-inspired stories to help you continue gaining or maintaining your well-being, wherever you are in that journey. I am honored to have a local Houstonian. We are in the same city, joining me today to talk about her absolutely amazing journey, the one and only Miss Kim Roxy. Y'all give it up for her. Now, here's the thing. I already told Kim, I'm not going to read her bio because I have some words that I'm going to read to describe her from the perspective of Miara, us crossing paths in these Houston entrepreneurial streets for at least the last 10 years. At least 10 years. I know. So here are some words that I would use to describe Kim. Energetic, tenacious, unstoppable, and authentic. I have never run into you, Kim, whether it's at an event, passing at an event, where you have not been the absolute same woman, giving me the same love, the same energy. And of course, we know that's not the same for everyone. We can't say that about everyone. But no matter where I see you, even if it's across the room and we just get a chance to wave, it's the same love and same energy. So I am absolutely honored that you were able to join us today. Tell Maven Nation, my audience, a little bit more about you, on your journey and how you have arrived at this moment where you are today. And I know, listen, how long have you been on this beauty road?
Yeah. So this beauty road has been, I started my sophomore year in college.
Wow.
And so I was 18, 19 years old.
Okay.
And I just made 40 last year. So it's been like 21 years, but like as an entrepreneur in beauty,
Okay.
I started at 21, so still like 19 years. So it's just
Right.
been a good amount of time on this journey.
Right. So tell us a little bit more about that journey. And I know as an entrepreneur, we have peaks and valleys, wins and losses, days where we like, I quit, I'm done with this. I'm going back to something corporate, somebody's job, right?
Yes.
All of the things. Give us a few of those milestones that have really propelled you and to bring you where you are today.
Well, Maven Miara, I'm still trying to recover from your words that you said, because, I think it's really special to hear, other perspectives, right? Outside of in your own head, right?
Yeah.
Or even what you're looking to give, right?
Okay.
But just to receive at the same time. So thank you for those words.
Yes, ma'am.
And in that expression of love, because I take it as love. So
yes,
thank you. And I told you, like, even in our little green room session, I was like, you living in your overflow season, and I didn't plan to say that. That just kind of came out my mouth. So we honor that. Okay.
Yes, I receive it every moment of it.
Yes. I'm like, wow. So no telling what's just coming over.
Exactly.
And, from it. So when I think about the ups and downs and going back, and, I never really worked in corporate America. So for me, going back looks like going back to my bed, to be honest.
Listen, sometimes that is the place.
Like, look, I just got to go back to sleep today.
Right.
Let me just go back to sleep.
Right.
And wake up, and maybe something new will happen. And I must say that I love how you said gaining and maintaining. So since I've been on the road of entrepreneurship, since I was 21, for me, it is about maintaining.
Okay.
It is about the middle, the dash.
Okay.
One of the things that I wake up in the morning extremely grateful about, even when it starts to get in my spirit, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And I'm like, just be
Mm-hmm.
thankful you're alive. And I'm thinking
Yes.
about that dash moment and
Yeah.
how much it takes to maintain in the dash. And
Yes.
so when I think about this road, I just think about not just getting started, but maintaining. And the maintenance on entrepreneurship takes always learning. I'm always in a program. I'm always in somebody's program, somebody's accelerator, somebody's incubation, somebody's accelerator, somebody's growth strat. I'm just always in something. And if I'm not in a program, I'm in a book, right?
Okay.
Or I'm in an article. I'm just always on this place because when you're maintaining, there's maintenance. And so
Absolutely.
how do you sort of stay or keep or withhold or continue to push forward without those things? So for me, it takes a lot of programming, a lot of books, a lot of articles, a lot of observation
Okay.
of others that really helps me to maintain in this dash of entrepreneurship.
I love that because, we'll talk about this balance rhythm that I'm always talking about, this work life harmony. But you're right, especially I think when you think about starting 21 years ago or so, and how much technology now plays into business. If you were not learning and maintaining and developing and being in these incubators and accelerators, probably you wouldn't be able to be where you are today because we've got to keep, and that's one thing I'm always saying to female business owners, you've got to keep evolving. You
Yes.
cannot be afraid of technology. You've got to embrace that for the parts that you need. You don't need everything in technology, but there are some key components that makes work smarter, not
Hmm.
harder, all of
Yeah.
those things. And if you're not connected to groups, to people, to learning those
Yeah.
different things, you could have an amazing brand, but if you're not keeping pace with what's happening in the world, you could be completely left out of that. And that leads me to a thought on pre-pandemic. You saw a lot more brands enter the beauty space, the Black beauty space. And then it
Hmm.
was like in the pandemic, I noticed like poof, there was like an explosion of
Hmm.
Black beauty brands. Do
Hmm.
you from your perspective, do you think this market is becoming oversaturated? And if not, what advice would you give someone that, is still in their kitchen making their product starting, right? And they like, Kim, how do I get started out to launch a national brand or a global brand? What would that advice be to them? So that's a two-part. Do you think it's becoming oversaturated? And if not, how does a person go from that kitchen work to getting out there?
So I have two thoughts on the first part, and that is it oversaturated? So
Hmm.
for one, I'll go back to my beginnings of when I started working at a makeup counter in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
Atlanta, this was 2002, 2003. Atlanta was saturated with
Hmm.
beauty places and beauty parlors, and getting your eyebrows done was like a whole thing, and getting your
Okay.
lashes done and getting your makeup done. Like in Atlanta for Black
Okay.
beauty, that was like on every corner. Like if you think
Okay.
about like a nail shop or something like that,
Hmm.
think about that in regards to like Black beauty in Atlanta on every corner. Think about that was the home of Bronner Brothers and all of
Oh
that kind of
yeah.
stuff. So it was just like everywhere. And to be honest, I felt like Atlanta was saturated for me.
Okay.
But at the same time, that's where I got my inspiration from to,
Okay.
to see or just to see it. I had never seen someone own, a makeup shop and all of that before.
Okay.
So when I saw it there, but it was like on every corner, I was like,
Right.
well, I don't see it on the corners of Houston.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm gonna go back home and do that. So speaking to oversaturation, how saturation can a lot of times still make you look at it and go, it still can be done. Like it's the
Right.
proof that it can be done. Let me
Mm-hmm.
find out where the desire or the need for it needs to go next, right?
Right.
That's my answer on the first part. But then the second part to that answer, as a national global situation, McKinsey, the consulting firm, has done so much. They have done research. They have put out reports. They have a Black Beauty report out now that talks about how there is it's over $2 billion of money pretty much like left on the table.
Oh, wow.
That Black consumers are willing to spend on beauty products that are geared towards them. That there is a $2 billion opportunity to satisfy if we can
Okay.
get the products to them that they need and all of that. So it is not oversaturated in
Okay.
regards to opportunity that's still lying out there, because still Black beauty is not, and when I say Black beauty, I'm really talking inclusive beauty,
Right.
because when a Black beauty founder makes a beauty product, 99% of the time, it is an inclusive beauty product that benefits everybody,
Okay.
because we're making it with everyone sort of skin tone, especially in makeup, in mind.
Okay.
And so I say that if we are to get more solutions that people need, this report says people need more solutions. And if we get more Black beauty brands, inclusive beauty brands, accessible by this consumer, me
Okay.
having my website is not considered accessible, because only a small percentage of people know about my website, right?
Okay.
But if I get on your major retailers' websites, I get on your major online retailers, if I get in some of the brick and mortar shops that people
Right.
have, the Ultas, the Target, all this
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff of the world,
Yeah.
you just, the accessibility goes up. And so then it goes, oh, okay, now making it accessible and people can get to it and try it, that makes it so that is not oversaturated at all. And
Okay.
so I just go by McKinsey. I'm like, McKinsey says it's $2 billion out there on the table that needs to be. I'm like, that's what I'm going after. So when I'm pitching, I'm pointing towards those billions of dollars and telling folks, we need to go after this. Is, this folks out here ready to spend money, but they don't have the
Right.
product to spend on.
Right.
And so, and it reminds me of my beginnings. If I put the parallel of being in Atlanta and it was oversaturated, but me pointing
Okay.
towards Houston, saying,
Okay.
there's so much opportunity.
Yeah. I
Um,
love that, because that, I think when, 20 years ago, we started out thinking almost one-to-one selling. I'm going to have a product, this person's going to see me at the expo or the wherever. I'm going to sell them a product. When you start thinking more on a global basis, if you're on Target's website and Ulta's website, Amazon store, now you're thinking about a global reach where you don't physically, the brand owner, doesn't have to have its own brick and mortar in all of these locations, right? You just have to become a supplier and
yeah,
get that product moving. So I listen, the McKinsey people told a story,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
There's money still
yeah.
there. And it really does make sense, because every product doesn't work for every person, right? Yet there are still women. I mean, listen, we spend a lot of money in the
Yeah,
beauty industry. We
we,
all have the drawer with the stuff that we bought that didn't work, that it's still there. Now, why I still haven't figured out yet why we keep that. What we gonna do with that? What? But it's there. We have that drawer, right?
because it reminds us of the money that we invested in it, and we just want to sort of
Right.
look at it for a little while till we throw it
Right.
away.
Just for a little longer until we do spring cleaning. You're like, you know what? You're never gonna wear this color. Let it go. Let it go. Um, I love that, and that also encourages young brand visionaries to keep going, right?
Yes,
And I think all of this, and even with you creating your own brand, when I see you on interviews and articles, you're still encouraging other women, do
yes,
your thing, do your
yes,
thing, and that everyone has a unique value proposition. What's the unique thing that your brand is going to be different from all of the other brands? Like, what's going to make someone get into Ulta and pick your product? off the
Mm-hmm.
shelf. Speak
Exactly.
to that a little bit on how again, young people or even older people that might be
Yeah.
considering starting a beauty brand, what are those unique factors they need to be looking for that's going to set them apart, that's going to help them be the product someone, a woman walks into that store and says, this is what I want, this is the one for me.
Yeah. Evoke a feeling. I think sometimes
Okay.
how much beauty is so emotional. And
Hmm.
so a lot of times as a brand, you're helping someone evoke a feeling, a thought,
Okay.
a idea, about
Yeah.
themselves or, and I think that sometimes we take away from that part of the value proposition. And it's like a lot of it is emotional. And that's
Okay.
the reason why we can have this stuff in our drawer and won't throw it away.
That's
Because
true.
because it's attached to that. And
Hmm.
I also will say that your unique perspective, and that's the reason why I love hearing people's stories, because your
Hmm.
unique perspective could align with a group of people that want to become a part of that audience and community that speaks to their beauty in a way that someone else it just doesn't resonate with.
Right.
And so I think that a lot of times we think that when we see someone else doing something and they're doing it well, and we're like, okay,
Hmm.
they're doing it well. I just can't. But your unique story, what you've been through, your problem, the
Yeah.
solution you come up with, is just totally different from
Yeah.
someone else's. So you got to come up with your solution because there's a group of people who that pertains to. And beauty is one of the few consumer product goods that you actually build brands for niches. And
Mm.
I think that, this is something else to really highlight. And that is that you build brand for niches a lot of times. And then
Okay.
it expands. So for
Okay.
me, um, I I was in a program. I told y'all I do
Okay.
programs. I was in a program with Beauty United. They came
Okay.
up with this program over the pandemic time, and they wanted. Oh, it was right after George Floyd, our brother George Floyd from Houston, uh,
Okay. Yep.
was lynched. Right? He. After that, there was in the beauty industry, some beauty vets and stuff like that got together, and some people, and were like, how can we make Black Lives Matter, right? Within this industry, how can we speak to that?
Right.
And they decided to take beauty founders brands and connect them with Black beauty founders. And so one of the mentors, and some of them became mentors, especially the successful ones. And my mentors were the founders of Too Faced Cosmetics, Jeremy and
Okay.
Gerard. And Too Faced may not even be a household name. Some people have never heard of these people before,
Hmm.
but their brand sold to Estee Lauder for $1.2 billion. So
That's a
again,
lot.
like
Yeah.
that's a lot. so,
That's
so,
a lot.
so, so they were my mentors, and I bring this up not just for how much they sold for,
Hmm.
but for the fact that I was expressing to them about my story. They were like, "Kim, let's hear your story."
Okay.
And they were like, I was like, I told them my story, and I told them my story around alopecia and hair
Uh-huh.
loss. And I was like, my first product I come out with is my eyebrow product because I experienced hair loss in my eyebrows and this and that. And they were like, oh, whoa. Well, we didn't create brow products because of that. Like, and because they had a brow product and stuff. And actually they
Yeah.
were working. They were working on their new brow product at the time where we having this meeting. And so I could have went in the meeting not being, like trying to stay standoffish, like this is my
Yeah.
competition. But no, I expressed my story. And do you know these guys? And I'm kind of giving an exclusive here because a lot of people don't know this. They helped me name our product, the Revelation Brow Duo. And
Wow.
so, because we went through a brainstorming, we just talked about it, and they talked about it from their perspective, even as just,
Okay.
and they said, we can see, and this is before I got into Ulta, and they were like, we can see this next to us at Ulta, and certain customers would pick that over ours because this is a certain story. They were just talking
Right.
about it,
Right.
and they were like, you know, oh yeah, and I mean, and they gave me so much confidence. You know how it is. Somebody else
Right.
in the industry sees the value in what you're doing,
Absolutely.
and I was like, oh my God. And I got off that call so invigorated. Like that was just enough. I'm like, they, like these guys like just saw so much. And they helped me name the product. And I received their help. I didn't go, oh, well, I don't know. I'm gonna go think about that. I was like,
Right.
you know what? If I can say Jeremy Gerard helped me name my brow product, that's amazing,
Yes.
And later on that year, we were launching on Ulta.com.
Wow.
And, and they had nothing to do with that per se,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah. Yeah.
even. And so, but they helped me name that product. And so too, when we talk about like competition and how things can work and different brands for different people, beauty is really created for niches. And so
Yeah.
if there's anybody in any industry, explore your mindset and talk to your competition and
Yeah.
see, and they actually can help you. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I'm often telling business owners is that people that have already created success in their lane are willing to help you.
Yeah.
It's us believing that they're willing to do it. And like you said, you could have gone into that meeting and withheld your story, but your story, each of our stories is our power. That is what makes our thing unique. Again, are there other eyebrow lines? Of course, but they don't have the Kim Roxy story. And that is the thing that sets us apart. You mentioned being in programs and accelerators and things like that. And one of the big shifts we saw when George Floyd was killed, we saw all of the allyship and the Black Lives Matter and all of the things. And I would say there definitely has been some positive steps in the right direction from that tragedy, right? To move us forward. But as a Black female founder, what are some of the barriers you still face? Although you're in Ulta, you're in Target, you've had national, global recognition. What are some of those barriers after all the allyship and all the DEI and all of the all of the stuff? What are those barriers that you're still facing today?
Well, Myra, I love the way that you said we're in Target, so you must see to our future.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Let's do it. Let's do it.
but
Look, that's my little favorite store that I run into to get all my little stuff. So let's do it.
okay, okay. But I'll say that those things that have come about, I think, are great.
Yeah.
However, I have to put a caveat, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
however, I was just watching the story on television last night about the Green Book and how our ancestors would put the places that they should stop, like if they're traveling on the road. And this was just in
Right.
the 1960s,
Mm-hmm.
1950s type of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right? Like if they're traveling, which hotels, which rest stops, all that kind of stuff. And I say that because, to be honest, that's how it is now, even
Yeah.
in the industry. Like those investors are not Black and brown friendly.
Okay.
Though that accelerator program or that
Mm-hmm.
private equity firm or whatever, word gets around like
Yeah.
about I literally was just at a female founders breakfast last week, and a dear friend of mine said to me, Kim, stay away from such and such investor.
Right.
She said she would love you too, but she would mean no good by you.
Wow.
And basically what she was talking about was her tokenism that she uses,
Mm.
and then how also she overcommits and doesn't have all the funds to back it up, and just
Right.
and she's actually one of her investors. So she's not saying this out of, you know,
Absolutely.
yeah, she's like, no, I have to deal with this person. I'm just telling you, you would never want to deal with this person. So I need you to
Right.
stay
Right.
away. And her husband is, she blatantly said her, and her husband is a racist. I've heard their
Wow.
conversations.
Yeah.
And so, that to me was like, I was watching the Green Book. I'm like, that was the Green Book she was trying to give me. Like, like stay away
That's
from
the
these people.
2023 Green Book.
Exactly. Exactly. And so people, and I think sometimes if you're not Black, you don't realize this part of
Yeah.
stuff. You just think,
Yeah.
oh, you think racist is just a few
Yeah.
people, and it's
They said it. They
not.
put it on their website that they want to help, and that's what it is.
Yes, yes,
Not so
yes. And
much.
not everybody. And it's like, no, a lot of people are, and a lot of
Yeah.
people have these ideas. And so for me, it's just like you're always trying to maneuver and take feedback, feedback that is progressive, and then also trying to filter through the feedback that's not, that's
Yeah.
completely biased, that's completely out of order, and you being able to like having to recover sometimes for some of those conversations. Some of those conversations are so demeaning.
Yeah.
I've had conversations and like literally had to leave and was like, what just happened?
Right. Right.
Did he
Right.
just say that to me?
Yeah.
Did he just try to tell me about Black beauty? I mean, and it's just
Right.
like,
It still
because,
hits you in the gut today when you
yeah,
get one of these off cuff conversations and you're like, who, what, say what now? Like, what just happened? How did we get off track? Right.
how do we get off
Um,
track?
and I
Yeah.
think, you know, when you're talking about grants, and here's the thing about this whole, when you weave race into business, right? It's part of our world that I still believe, I'm a forever optimist, that there
Yes.
are more people for us than against us in the world in general,
Yeah.
right? There are more
Right.
people for us. But I like how you talked about that in and that knowledge comes from being connected to a community. I tell people no matter how big you get, you need a community. You need a community of people supporting you, giving you real information, giving you the real, not just, oh, she's made it to this level, I just want to be connected to her and be a friend. But real mentors, real advisors that are going to give you the truth. And some of that truth means steering you away from things that are not going to benefit you
Yes.
personally or your business. Is so important. And that old notion that Black women can't support each other, won't support each other. Listen, I don't know who these people hanging around, because
Right.
me and my circle, we got each other's back. we
We
we,
got
we
each
got
other's
it.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because it
Yeah.
doesn't take anything from me to give Kim an encouraging word, or I've just sent you random text messages. Don't let me see
Yeah.
you in a commercial here. I'm like, sis, I saw you, keep going.
Yes. Yes.
That
Yes.
doesn't
You
take
do.
anything from me to give you that encouragement, because this entrepreneurial journey, for those that are not in it, never been in it, listen,
Don't
this,
do it.
as
Don't
they
do
say, this ain't for the weak.
it. No. So I'm like, check your heart first. I'm like, ooh.
Check your heart, check your intentions, check your checkbook, check all of the things, because and again, not only just trying to build a brand of excellence. I'm always telling my team, if we cannot deliver excellence, we will not deliver it. It's just not worth it, because um, as a Black owned business, white businesses are not the only businesses that can deliver excellence.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means I've got to slow down a little bit, redo it, rethink it,
Mm-hmm.
spend a little more money on it, whatever it looks like,
Mm-hmm.
delivering excellence. And I will say, for you, from all of these years, I have just enjoyed watching your journey of
Mm-hmm.
growth over the
Mm-hmm.
last 10 years. I was still in corporate America when I first met you.
Wow.
And I think you were on Greenbrier, or not
Yeah.
Greenbrier, but you had your
Green
studio.
card. Yeah.
Listen, all of the years of the little engine that could, steady
That's
plugging
it.
away,
That's
steady
it.
plugging away.
That's it.
And you have your beautiful, I call the children of CEOs, I call the child the CEO, because so much of life. So Miss Loretta, listen,
The producer, the
the
CEO.
producer, the executive
Yeah.
producer, the CEO, the CFO, all the things.
Definitely
Um,
my executive producer.
how old is Loretta now?
7.
7. So over this last 7 years, when you were all in building this brand, and now you got to incorporate a whole nother human
Mm-hmm.
into it.
Mm-hmm.
My big phrase that I'm always talking about is, I call it balance rhythm. People call it work-life harmony. And this is why the podcast is called Success with Saneness. Is because
Mm.
I believe we can obtain success without running ourselves crazy and being
Mm.
laid up in the hospital, because we've lost it all. We've
Yep.
lost all of
Yep.
the faculties and the joy, really the joy behind why we even started what we're doing. So
Yep.
you still have this amazing brand that's growing and continuing to flourish. Now you've had to incorporate a whole nother human, your producer, into
My
the plan.
producer.
How has that shifted your business, and what does that balance now look like for you in that regard?
Yeah. I'm just gonna tell a quick story and it'll tell you
Yes,
everything.
ma'am.
And it'll tell you everything. Like last night, I was like, she had a project that was due today. And so we had we had got the supplies over the weekend, we got all this stuff. We did the first part. The second part of the project was like a little model we had to build. And I was like, oh, I'm not good with this stuff. I was just like, oh my God, we got to work on this. And I was putting all the pressure on myself, right? Because I was like,
Okay.
I gotta figure this out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
And so I had started painting because a part of it we had to paint. And so I started
Okay.
painting it. And Loretta looked at what I painted and was like, why it look like that? And I was like,
Listen.
it looks fine. I was like, look, that's the best I could do, because again, I put it on myself to be able to do it.
Right.
And she like, and so I was in between running, and my husband is amazing, but like when they
Right.
come to stuff like that, that ain't his thing either. So
Right. Right.
he like, yeah, y'all have a good time. And so I had to go make a run real quick, something I had to do yesterday. And again, so I was like, I'm gonna get her started on this, and I'm gonna go run, and then I'm gonna come back. Daddy will get you ready for bed, all that kind of stuff. I come back,
Right.
we'll finish up the last little touches. We just do the best we can. And I come back home after running that errand, and the thing was painted beautifully.
Wow.
And I was like, who did this? And she was like, I painted it and I was like, you did? She was like, yeah, because you wouldn't let me paint it because I wouldn't. I was like, I'm going to do it because I just thought she was going to be messy and it wasn't going to.
Yeah, I need to get it done.
Yes. And baby, that thing was painted so beautifully. I was like,
move, mama.
And that's the story of our life. The story of our life is me underestimating her and her proving herself like, girl. And so I think that, and if I put that back into play of how when you first introduced me, I'm putting into play, and when you were saying treating people a certain kind of way, is the fact that my daughter's teaching me, because again, sometimes we take our children, and this is where I mess up sometimes, we take them as like ownership. Like, we have to own everything they are and everything they, whatever. And Loretta's like, you don't own me. Like I've got, what I'm saying? I've got this. Actually, I tell you what to do is really what happened.
And that's why I call them the CEOs.
Yeah. They like, really, I tell you what to do. But the one thing I learned from someone I highly respect, and I've been around for a long time. I heard them say it one time and it stuck with me forever. They said, I don't underestimate anybody.
Oh, wow.
And that made them, and if I said this person name, everybody would know them, but that made me, that was the best advice this person ever gave me. And they didn't even know they were giving it to me. They were giving it to me because I was talking about something. They said, no, I don't underestimate nobody.
Okay.
And I said, and they weren't saying it in a negative way. They were saying, you don't know the power of people. You never know the power of people. You think you do, but you do not. And so don't ever underestimate people, basically.
Right. And listen, Loretta reminded you.
She was like, girl, I got this project, and I was like, and so I came home, like everything, all the stress went down because it was like, but yeah.
Because as a mom, I'm sure when you're running your errand, you're thinking, I got to get home, got to finish helping my baby with this project. I got to get her ready. Like we just, we again, you said it, we put this pressure on ourselves to do all of the things and be all of that. When listen, we have a team like Loretta, like I know how to paint. I got this. Your husband's like, we good. And we in our minds are so busy trying to do all of the things, figure it all out, that it's like, if we just relax and be, this has been one of my words this year, be present. Be present for where you are right now. And if we can add gratitude to that, honey, listen, some of the stuff we be running around worried about would just not be so. It just would not be so. It's not important. Listen, let's switch gears and talk about your wonderful journey with HSN, Home Shopping Network. So proud. I think the first time you were on, I had a coaching or something and couldn't be on, honey, I set it to record. I'm like, there's another person watching this. Like,
Yes. Let's get that viewership.
we'll get all the eyes on it. We're going to get all the eyes on it. Tell us what that has meant for you, how that whole thing came about. And for those of you that don't know, Kim's first time on HSN, girl, your whole flight got canceled and y'all had to drive from Texas to Florida.
Yes.
To be on this show. Listen, that's why I tell people, y'all, we make entrepreneurship look sexy on Instagram.
Yeah.
But there is some stuff sometimes that
Yeah.
you got to dig deep. You got to dig deep and be like, okay, this is it. This is it.
And look, people that are watching don't have selective vision. Look at all the things of entrepreneurship.
All of it.
Don't just look at, don't just look at the big stuff and be like, oh yeah. No, look at those moments. Like what Maven Miara.
We have to question ourselves. Like, ooh.
Exactly. And when that flight got canceled, like, we got caught up in that Southwest chaos, and I've flown Southwest for years, and definitely unexpected. And again, my husband is the one who tipped it off and was like, have you been watching the news? And I was like, oh yeah, but I'm going to Florida. I mean, it's no weather there, no problem.
Right.
And I woke up that morning from my flight and that thing said cancel. And then when I called, they said they couldn't get me anything for the next week until the new year.
Oh, wow.
And so we were due to launch. Our live airing was December 28th. And I was due to get in town on the 27th to do all the before pictures and to tour the space and to know where to go. So in a split second, we had to make a decision. We hopped in the car, and Loretta hopped in the car, just threw anything in a bag, and we got to go. Because when you looked it up, it was almost a 15-hour drive, but that's with no stop, right? So
absolutely.
We do all that stuff. So it ended up taking us 17 hours to get there, and we went straight through.
Wow.
And, you're talking to a person who fly a lot. Like,
right.
I fly to Dallas. Like, I fly to, like, Austin. You know what I'm saying? like
that's me. I'm not the car person. I'm not for the road trip.
I gotten away from that. I grew up on road trips.
Right.
We never flew on a plane growing up. So so it took me back to like where I'm from, like back to, God, like I'm gonna ground you real quick, and baby, we took that road trip, and my husband drove the whole time. And like the last couple hours I drove, and my daughter, my executive producer, my rider, she was like, my husband put on some gospel music, and she was like, turn it up. And we literally praised and worshiped our whole time, like for the last 2 hours of our trip.
Wow.
Into the city. And when I got there, we started vlogging, putting it on Facebook and on Instagram, and everybody just rallied around us. And so when we were on that show, I wasn't thinking about, will I say the right thing or not? To be honest, I was floating. I was like, I'm just happy to be here, happy to be alive, happy to be here. And so to your point around presence, it is so important to just be present, because it ain't about sometimes all the others, just being there. And everybody showed up, and we did 136% achievement rate.
Wow.
Like, it was just crazy. Everybody my buying team, we ended up a couple weeks later going into the new year, because that was like the end of the year, right? Going into the new year, they had already gave us a new date. We just went back a couple weeks ago in February. But before then, I got an email in January saying, you've been nominated for a Vendor Excellence Award with HSN for Guest Excellence.
Wow. And I love it.
I don't even have no words.
Speechless. Right.
I didn't have no words, because the other people that were nominated, and when you look at these awards, people work all year to get that.
Yeah.
I had one show in that 1 year, and it was worth Guest Excellence.
Yeah.
And that was after a 17-hour car ride.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
and that fuel, like, Lord, give me some reward for this, because like you said, you had an opportunity to say, okay, well, we're not gonna be able to make it. We'll just have to reschedule for another time, right?
Yeah.
But again, that's why I use tenacious as one of the words to describe you, because I saw that story of y'all driving and all this, I think on Instagram. And I was like, Kim, like we're not quitting. We are not quitting. If people say we need to be here, we are here. And I was so proud to see the 136% over sale, the award, the booked for the second show. Because again, that hard work, that diligence, that tenacity, that those were your rewards for that. Like you said, people see the results, the great show on HSN, but they haven't seen all of the work, the preparation to be prepared for the moment. If you get a call from HSN and you are not prepared for the,
Ooh.
nothing you can do. You have to decline it, right? You're like, well, we don't have enough product. We can't get enough product. All of the things, but your journey had prepared you for that moment. And again, I was just cheering from Houston, like, go Kim Roxy, go. Listen.
Man, I felt it. I felt it. I felt everybody. And that's what I think really gave me that win.
Yeah.
And through it all, like God was just like, doing something bigger, which he always does.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It ain't about the simplicity. It's about the holistic part of it,
Yeah.
and
The whole
and
journey.
it's like the whole journey. And it's like, yeah, I got something big behind all of this.
Yeah.
But I could feel the cheering and the rooting and just the way that everybody
Yeah.
was on board with us. And even Loretta could feel it because she was,
Yeah.
she was like, tell them we at Buc-ee's. Tell them we at Buc-ee's. And I'm like, we at Buc-ee's, y'all. We went live at Buc-ee's. I was like, we at Buc-ee's, y'all. Because she was like, you got to tell them we at Buc-ee's now. We made it to Buc-ee's. I was like, okay, we
The
at Buc-ee's.
producer was on it.
She be on it.
She was
be on it.
So tell us, what is next for your brand? What's your vision on next?
Whew, that's kind of hard for me. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I struggle with that question because, to be honest, Myra, I'm just thinking about like the next hour, because
Okay.
I'm like, oh, I gotta, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And it's not so much I gotta do this and do that. That's not really running through my head. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like God be making a fool out of me. Like I'll say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do this next," and God, like,
Yeah.
no, we're not. No, we're not. We about to
Look,
do
I
this.
said, God tells me, oh, that's what you wrote in your journal. I didn't write that down. That's not what I said. Oh, okay. My bad.
Exactly. So I just kind of be like, what's next is, but I do at the same time. And then I'll say this. And then when he gives me insight into the future, it's almost like it's sacred. Because it'd be like, it'd be so like, I almost can't speak on it. Not because I don't want to, but because I don't even see how that could happen. I'm like,
right. You're like, I'm still trying to believe it for myself right now.
I'm like, I'm trying to see what you even talking about here, So when I just think about the future of Lamique, though, I do think about the first thing that comes to mind when I say this, and I don't know why these words are coming to mind, is it's just like the next thing for Lamique is I'm gonna prove it. Like, I don't know. It's just like I'm still in a place where we're climbing and we're and so much further we have to go. I can look at every business engagement we're in right now thinking we need to get to this next milestone with that. Like I can think of everything and just thinking the next, like it got to come from where it is. And I just feel like God is just saying, like, I'm gonna prove it. I'm gonna prove it. I'm gonna prove this thing. So I just think about the future of Lamique as definitely going deeper with a lot of the retail relationships we have.
Okay.
I think about we're working on so excited about this. So I partner with a nonprofit organization called Save a Girl, Save a World.
Okay.
They started on the campus of my alma mater, Clark Atlanta University.
Okay.
And they do this. I went to their last summit this past November. And Reagan Flowers, she's out of Houston, C-STEMs.
Yes.
She's a part of the organization, a nonprofit, and I didn't know that before. But someone, the founder of the organization, we met in LA, and so we've done this partnership, and Reagan with C-STEM is a part of it, where we are going to bring a group of young ladies who attend HBCUs to
Okay.
Houston, Texas for a dream of a lifetime to mirror cosmetic chemists and to come to
Okay.
our cosmetic lab that we work out of
Okay.
and manufacturing lab, and they are going to see about becoming cosmetic chemists and what it takes
Wow.
and what it's like and how we make products and how research is
Hmm.
done and development
Right.
and regulatory and manufacturing and all of
Right.
that stuff. And they're going to come to Houston, and I'm so excited about this
I love it.
because if you go back to the beginning of how I explained, I started at a makeup counter at 19. I had never saw makeup manufactured. So I'm just thinking about
Right.
a 19-year-old girl seeing it and how far ahead she can believe
Yeah.
and think and become.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. That's happening this spring.
Okay.
And so that's been an initiative that's been on my heart for a while
Hmm.
because in order for us to get inclusive products, in order for us to get better offerings, we got to make them.
Yeah. Fact.
And, and there is no cosmetic, there's only one cosmetic chemistry undergrad program in the country, and it's in Ohio. And I actually have a beautiful young woman from their program as an intern of mine right now, actually, that
Okay.
works remotely. But there's only one. So
Oh,
every
wow.
other college campus in the country doesn't have an undergrad cosmetic chemistry and so a degree program. So how can we become what we never see? And so I'm
Right.
just excited about that. So that's one of the big things that we have coming up.
I love
We're
that.
yeah, we're still on HSN. We're still on Ulta.com. We need your support there. We need your support on Ulta.com. We need your support on JCPenney.com. We're on 13loon.com. But we're, like I said, going deeper with some of those relationships. And I'm
Okay.
excited about the future of that. But I'm really excited about bringing those girls here.
Yeah. I love it. That, cultivating our future with those young ladies, that's how we build legacy, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That we
yeah,
keep it going, that we keep it
yeah.
going, and getting young ladies to see these things younger and younger. Listen, we can project that they will be much further down the road than we are at the ages that we are, which listen, just gives me hope and encouragement for our future, that our future's in good hands with these young ladies and young men. Listen, I am so again grateful that you joined me today. I told Kim at the beginning, I said we're gonna get you in and get you out because I know the calendar has some things on it, along with the CEO, Miss Loretta. She need her
Yes,
proper time. She will let you
yes.
know.
She
She
will
will let
let
you
you know.
know.
Hmm.
So thank you again. Listen, I am rooting for you. I'm going to be seeing you coming up very quickly. I'm moderating a panel with HCC. We're on the same panel. Listen, we seeing each other virtual right now, but in a few days we will see each other in person.
In
Actually,
person. In
in
person.
person. So
Yes. Yes.
I look
Celebrating
forward
Women's
to it.
History Month.
Women's History Month. Yeah, we going from Black History Month to keeping the party going for Women's History Month. So thank you, ladies, Maven Nation, gentlemen that watch. We're going to be dropping all of Kim's links and things in the description of this video so that you can go online and make your purchases. And until next time, Maven Nation, keep doing your BAM thing. Talk with you soon.